we get to define that role. We don't have to assume the label that we had before. That is what this modern bookkeeping practice is getting to be, is more of an advisor to our clients. And they value that so much so that we've had clients leave and come back and been like, yep, boy, did we learn. Nobody, there's a difference.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a good one. Our guest is the founder of Caldwell Consulting and Training, where she guides accounting teams to become a modern practice. Carla Caldwell, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. And for those of our listeners that are not familiar with you, I'd love to learn your backstory. What were you doing that led you to here?
Wow. Well, quite a few years ago, I received an amazing piece of advice from my grandmother who said, when you go to college, make sure you get a degree where you'll always have a job. And so I was like, I didn't know exactly what that was going to lead to, but long story short, it led to accounting. And as I was finishing up my degree and they kept talking about audit and tax, I was like, I want door number 3. So I ended up getting into, I have my degree in accounting, but I didn't really want to do tax or audit. So I never became a CPA, started working in private industry. And one of the things that I did was help a company that I worked for going through a software conversion. And it went horribly bad. It was a nightmare. But what I found was that software just made sense to me when I started using it. So I ended up becoming an implementation provider for a product called ACPAC. It is now called Sage 300. I worked on that product for quite some time, working with clients implementing that. Eventually went to work at Sage and worked there for about 9 years, mid-market and small business. And then there was this odd little company that couldn't even spell their name right called Xero. And I actually worked there as the director of education for 3 years. And what I started realizing was how incredibly different our world was becoming now that we're online, and what a massive disruption this was becoming for accounting practices and small businesses. But long story short, I left there and decided that I wanted to help accounting firms implement process changes and new applications and whatnot. And along the way, was voluntold to help small businesses as they were implementing applications. And so officially launched it a couple years ago, but I've been doing it for quite some time. So we have Candela Accounting and Advisory Services and have a team of 9 amazing women that are serving small businesses. And of course, because I just can't help myself and always need something to do, still do consulting and training for accounting practices, but I live it out. So I'm actually doing it and working with accounting firms as they are doing the same inside their practices.
Lovely. Well, you've got a full plate.
Little busy.
Little busy. So tell me, along the way, what were the biggest struggles that you found in your career leading to this point?
Well, I think probably the biggest one was just having confidence to know that I'm a leader. And I know that sounds really kind of strange to some perhaps, but I just was doing what I did. And as I grew my team working in software companies, and then as I started my own business and really leading my team, I think that was hard for me in many ways. I just kind of did what I did, but I started to realize people want to be led in any organization. But in mine, being able to cast that vision, get them excited and being able to to understand the vision of where we're going. That was a hard role for me to step into sometimes, and it felt a little awkward and weird. But as I have continued to do that, it has become a joy to just watch our team thrive and grow and learn. And so just really becoming comfortable with that. I always hated being called the boss. Like, it just drove me crazy sometimes. But I've learned that that my team is just amazing, and they love what we do and who we get to do that with. And so I'm really honored to be serving them as the, CEO of the company. And so for me, that was probably one of the biggest things, quite honestly, was just embracing that. And I see that in a lot of other firms that I've worked with as well, just embracing that and being okay with that.
Was there anything that you did that helped get you to the point that you are now where you're comfortable or even empowered around it?
Well, two probably biggest things that I've done is I read a lot. And I know this is not video podcast, but if they were seeing me in my office, I have
We'll put a clip up
of books, right? I've got lots and lots
of books here.
And I'm constantly reading. And just gaining confidence in that area, I think helped me a lot, getting a lot of different perspectives, reading about people that I think are so amazing and finding out that they're not perfect and where did they stumble and how did they do this? And so that has been one. And the other one is being around a group of people that are other business owners, not necessarily accounting leaders, although I have some of those friends as well, obviously, that I've worked with, but just being around business leaders and hearing their struggles and getting their encouragement and having a group of people around you. Running a business is hard and it can feel very lonely and isolating. And so having others that you can kind of bounce ideas off of and commiserate with and celebrate with, all of those things are really important. And that has really been very powerful for me in my growth.
That's great. I love to, and I do see lots of great books behind you. And I'm curious if there were any books that, just jump out to you right away that are must reads for small business owners.
Oh, I have so many. Oh, gracious. Okay. EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey was absolutely pivotal for me. Good to Great from Jim Collins was fantastic. Anything by Patrick Lencioni, any book that he has. So the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, my latest and greatest of his is the 6 Types of Working Genius, but I kind of fangirl over him. So any of his books are fantastic. I also found another book that was it's not really necessarily a business book, although he has a business edition, is Boundaries by Henry Cloud. I tend to want to help everybody and please everybody, and learning that sometimes no is a complete sentence was really helpful for me in my business. And so those are some of the books that I would say for starters. Oh, one more, and then I'll have to stop because I'll just keep going. The other one is E-Myth. It is so good. It's an old one, but boy, howdy, is there a lot in there that is just fantastic for us to
I'm actually
revisit.
shocked at how many business owners I speak to that have not heard of E-Myth. It's a terrible name.
Yes.
I guess I didn't realize there'd be an email coming down the track, right? It was pre-email.
That's what I thought the book was about.
E-Myth, what is that? Some sort of new email system?
Yes, it's exactly what I thought for years and didn't read it. So maybe that's the problem. They just need to rebrand it. I don't know, but it's a great book. Absolutely.
Yeah, great book. And, it's one of those things that I think nowadays people just find through podcasts like this or reviews, but it is a must read. But I love that I love that book title. Forget you named the author, but No is a Complete Sentence. Yeah. That's crazy good.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's Boundaries is the actual name of the book.
Yes.
By Henry Cloud. But that was one of the things, and I don't even know if that's a direct quote. It was just something that I picked up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've never heard that before. No is a complete sentence. What I get from that is it's like often if I say no, I have to give a reason why or, pontificate on, I think in this industry, it's a service-based industry. People, if you don't like people or you don't like helping people, you're probably going to struggle. But you got to have those boundaries. And so that can be tough for people who like to help people. And so excellent. That'll be a book I hope our listeners will pick up. And you listed some great ones. Yeah. your website, Caldwell Consulting, it's all about the modern firm, unlocking the future. I'd love for you to tell us, what does it mean to have a modern accounting practice?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that it is forward looking and it is treated like a business. And I know that sounds a little odd because we're talking to business owners, but so many times I speak to accounting firms and bookkeepers, especially in some cases, they think I am a bookkeeping firm. And they think that somehow is a very different thing than a small business owner. And I'm like, no, it's the same thing. And when we read something like eMyth or any business book, it applies to us. And we need to be a business owner that deals with pricing conversations and hiring and all of the various things that go into being a business owner. So I think a modern practice is going to be one that is forward thinking and it is not scared of technology and how we will use it and how our clients will use it. And I know that we're kind of at that point where I think we've shifted to no longer being afraid of cloud accounting and cloud services, but I still see a lot of resistance to really embracing technology. We're so scared of the unknown, and I think learning to embrace that in the way that we're going to use it internally, how our clients are going to use it is important. But I think it goes beyond just technology conversations, and it goes into what is it that our clients really want and need from us. I hear all the time, I'm just a bookkeeper, and I literally, it hurts my soul to hear that. Because some of the smartest people I know are quote unquote just bookkeepers. They know business. They have seen so much and have experienced so much. And so what I want a modern bookkeeping practice to be about also is providing more than just transactional processing, but really more advisory services. They're almost like a business coach. And so I think that's really where we're going. We hear about AI and technology and all of these things, but people do business with people, and I want them to embrace that as well.
I love that. And we talk about that often. And don't mind my daughter's cat that just jumped up on my lap. It's my Dr. Evil moment here. It's like I closed the door thinking the cat was gone, but it's just, of course, it just wants to have the limelight, right? I love that you talk about the just a bookkeeper mindset. And it's one of those human conditions. We overvalue the capabilities of others and undervalue the capabilities of ourselves. And it's one that it's a personal journey. People have to find their way to embracing their greatness. And this is one that is so important, is being a bookkeeper or an accountant, is to embrace the value that you have. And in my journeys, there's very few that have as big an impact to a small business owner as the bookkeeper and, of course, the accountant. But bookkeepers being there often right side by side, direct communication with the business owner and such a powerful view of the financials and what's going on in the business, that's valuable. And what do they want at the end of the day? They want to be successful financially. If they don't want to be successful financially, I mean, that's great, but most do, and they don't know how to get there often.
Yeah. Well, we provide an objective view of their business. A business owner is seeing it from one lens, and you're providing a completely different perspective for them. And you're also providing a perspective of an end experience from all the other businesses you work with. I literally have a fairly new client to me, and one of the things that we talked about was an integrated application into their accounting system. And they were like, oh, it's integrated. And so I looked at it, and yes, it brought over the invoice, but none of the payments were there. They were having to manually enter every payment for every order. And I was like, that is not an integration. And they were like, well, how come nobody's ever told me that? I'm like, I don't know, but this is not how you grow a business. You can't do this much manual work. I'm like, it's 2023. Like it should just come in. And so we provide a perspective for them. That client did not know that their system was so broken, and just a bookkeeper may not, they just, okay, whatever, I'll just key it all in. I'm like, no. This is how we're going to address this. And it is going to make you more successful and have more timely information and be able to provide better information. And it is so important for us to speak up and say things. And I think sometimes we just think, oh, that's not my role. And we get to define that role. We don't have to assume the label that we had before. That is what this modern bookkeeping practice is getting to be, is more of an advisor to our clients. And they value that so much so that we've had clients leave and come back and been like, yep, boy, did we learn. Nobody, there's a difference. And so I think that's, to me, so exciting. And I think the fact that we get to define what that looks like and really help our clients, like you said, we're shoulder to shoulder with those business owners, helping them succeed. And they value that. We need to just, lean into that opportunity to really work with them. And so that, to me, is super exciting, because I think most bookkeepers are incredibly smart, have a lot to offer, and they just need to do it.
That's right. Absolutely. And the world is changing so quickly, and it's hard sometimes to keep up, but it's either you either run for the bus or you miss it, that's it. And so it's not slowing down, that's for sure. And there's such great opportunity for those that run for the bus and get on it. And such an exciting time in many ways from a technology perspective. You talked a little bit about fear as being one of the reasons why people don't embrace a modern firm or want to take themselves there. Can you think of any other reasons that you've seen along the way which holds people back?
Yeah, definitely fear is probably the number one that just comes immediately to mind. But I also think it's busyness. And that seems silly because we want to be busy in our businesses. But we're busy at a lot of things that aren't really moving us forward. We might be busy chasing something down, thinking that, that's just what we do. A client says, oh, I wrote some checks. The last bookkeeper just went into the bank account and got the information. And I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're going to have you send us pictures of the check with what it's for, and we'll take care of it. Or you'll print it out of the system and then it's already there. So learning to have those conversations and say, what is it that I'm busy with? Does that make sense? And the other thing that I found too is that we take on clients that we shouldn't, or we keep clients longer than we should. So we are not for every single business out there, and we shouldn't keep every single business. And if we have a client that's not valuing what we do, we're busy working on a client we shouldn't be. And if we're taking a client that we shouldn't be, then again, we're focusing on the wrong thing. So I think we kind of get ourselves in this cycle of busyness, and we are not being smart about what it is that we do. And it's hard because, if I'm a solo bookkeeper and I need the income, but at the same time, we're not able to take those better clients because we're working on these clients that are draining us dry. So I think that is something to look at as well, because if I'm so busy working on a client, I really shouldn't be. And I know who they are because I hate it when they call me. We already know I don't want to answer the phone. That's not a good client. We can't get those better clients. And so those are some things that I think we should look at as well. We also get too busy with them and then can't learn all those new things. Like you said, the world is changing and a lot is going on. I hear teams say all the time, I can't get to a conference, I'm too busy. Well, we've got to invest in ourselves. And if we're too busy working on the wrong things, as a leader, we've got to invest in the future and be looking forward. And so we've got to free up our calendar and give ourselves a little margin as well.
Yeah. Have you seen some things that work in terms of freeing up the calendar? I mean, when you think of a calendar and people are busy, it's in their mind, it's full. How do you unfull a calendar, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think part of it is when we specifically block off time, it's amazing. Right before you go on vacation, it is amazing how much stuff you can get done before you leave. Like you've done 12 loads of laundry, you've packed everything is ready to go. You've made all the client phone calls, you've done all the things that had to get done before you go. And I don't want that kind of frenetic activity all the time. But if I could do most of my work 4 days a week or 4.5 days a week, and I'm able to take a couple hours to just think about my business and work on it instead of in it, that would be one way that I would want to do that. The other option too is, just making incremental changes will make a big difference. And so one of the things we look at is, instead of keying in data, can we import it in? It may only save us 10 minutes, but I'll take 10 minutes. I got 10 minutes. I can do something else, that type of thing. So embracing little incremental changes that allow us to do that. The other thing I've learned too is there are times when I'm doing something that somebody else on my team can do. And as the leader, I can do bank reconciliations, I can import data, I can do all of these things. But if I'm doing those things, who's going to do the things that only I can do? So I need to make sure that I am passing on things that they can do so that I can do the things that only I can do. And so that is another way to free up our calendar a little bit if you have that ability to pass it on to a team member, or maybe bringing in somebody temporarily or part-time that can give you a little lift on some things that you can ask them to help you with, and that can free you up as well.
Those are some great ones. As you're speaking about it, I heard some of the language of the E-Myth coming out, work on your business. And I think that's a big piece too, is one of the things that makes E-Myth such a great book is painting a picture of what you don't want and what you do want, and reconnecting with, why are you in business, right? Why are you doing this? What do you want to get out of it? And I guess that's the E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth, is that people think they're going to make more money, have more freedom, and do what they love more by running their own business. And often that's not the case. And that's the book, what you can do about it to turn it back into letting a business actually be the deliverable, the tool that delivers the life you want to lead. So it's, sometimes I think that's what it requires, is read or listen to a book that's going to inspire you to block that day off, to decide you're going to delegate some things, because this week can quickly turn into next week, and this month into next month, and this year into next, with no change, nothing happening. So again, I think the E-Myth might be the theme of this episode. So some really good thoughts there around what prevents them, some mistakes that people make. We talked about, what's preventing them, but now that they go off and do it, what are some things that you've seen go really bad or wrong with people trying to embrace technology and modernize their firm?
Well, one of the things, and it's funny, I listened to a podcast this morning about it, and delegation is a very difficult thing for us to do. We're called controllers because we are, in fact, control freaks, right? So when I am thinking to myself, I need so-and-so to do this on my team, or I need to have somebody else help me with this, I'm going to free up my calendar, I'm going to do these things. And I kind of let it go, but my finger's still on it, and I'm kind of peeking in, and I'm expecting that it's a little Carla over there doing this stuff. And it's not, it's a Shelby or a Sharon or a Karen or whoever in my team that's going to be doing it. And they may do it a little bit differently. And I have to be okay with that. Now, I don't want mistakes, and it's accounting, we've got to have debits equaling credits, and we've got to have the right thing done, but they may go about it a little bit differently than I do. And sometimes we think delegation is, I'm still going to kind of micromanage that, or we do the other way. I gave it to so-and-so, they need to get it done. And I've kind of abdicated that completely. And I have forgotten to check up and didn't follow through and whatever. And then all of a sudden I'm wondering why it wasn't done, but maybe I forgot to tell them I need it by Friday, or I wasn't as clear about my expectation for that. So I think delegation is really a difficult thing for some people to master. And so I've seen that mistake for sure. I think one of the other ones is thinking that when I make this decision, it is being etched in stone and I cannot change my mind. So our team recently outsourced some work, and we were very careful, very deliberate about what we outsourced, and it didn't go well. And the way that we do bookkeeping and accounting for our clients was not able to be done by this team. And so we went about 3 or 4 months and I pulled the plug and said, nope, we're bringing it all back in house and we're going to do this. And at first my team was like, oh, that was a failure. And I'm like, are you kidding? That was a huge success, because we learned through that how special we are. What we do really is special and unique and different. And in the midst of bringing that team on, we documented our processes so well that we're doing it even faster than we did before we gave it to that other firm. So it was something that at first we were like, oh man, I wish it would have worked. And yeah, I wish it had, but it didn't. And we learned from it and we went on. And I think sometimes we're scared to take that risk or that chance on something like that and think that if we do that, there's no going back. And that's not the case. And, we are risk averse by nature, I think most of us in this profession. And so trying something out and finding out it didn't work is okay, whether it's a team member or whether it is a process or an application we're trying. Try it out. Dip your toe in, see what happens. I mean, I don't want you to switch your whole firm. We did it with a subset of clients, but try it out and see what happens and figure out what worked and what didn't and why it didn't work and analyze it and figure it out and move forward, but fail forward and don't fail backward.
So true. And there's so many things to learn from anything we do, whether it comes off as a success or a failure. The failures often lead us down a path that it's impossible, would have been impossible to get to without that failure. And that's often what people focus on, is like, oh, I failed. And they go to the personal aspects of failure and however they embrace or not embrace failure. But really, it unlocks new doors, new pathways. Those might not be fruitful either, but there are new pathways that lead to potentially being very successful. And I like what you've said about debrief as well. What didn't? Was it from your own effort? Was it from someone else's effort, lack of, or maybe not enough knowledge or not the right timing? Doing a debrief with yourself and the entire team is so valuable to do that before, during, and after.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think we do that enough. We also don't debrief after successes. Right? We need to know, why did that succeed? Why did that go so well? What about this made the difference? And, I don't think we celebrate enough in our accounting practices. Our firm, I'm just going to brag on my team a little bit, at Scaling New Heights, which is a conference here in the US that is run by Woodard Events. They awarded us with a Top 50 Client Accounting Services Award. And it was such an honor because it was all about our team really focusing on our clients and being different and wanting to have a different experience for our clients. And so it meant a lot to us. And I was like so determined that we celebrate this. And so we did. We had a celebration, we had cake and had a party. And I just wanted us to take a moment and celebrate that. And I think we need to do that with our teams. Landing a big client, celebrating however many years in business, or a success of a client that's come back that had left and realized life wasn't greener on the other side. Whatever the case is, we need to celebrate those things and celebrate, all the things that our team members are doing. I think that's important as well. And it is a miss if we're not doing that. Our teams need to feel those excitements along the way.
True. So true. Celebrate the successes. Otherwise, it's no fun.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And we're allowed to have fun even as accounting professionals.
That's right. Well, you're running a modern firm already. I'd love to know what's next for you. What takes your already modern firm to the next level?
One of the things that I really want to do is dig deeper with our clients and really advise them even more. And that means that our team has to be comfortable doing that. It can't all rest on my shoulders or a couple people. And what we're finding is our just bookkeepers are already doing this with some of the clients that they're really comfortable with. We really want to elevate that for everybody on our team with the right education. Obviously, I can't have somebody who doesn't understand, more complex accounting issues doing that. But I want everybody on the team really comfortable working with our clients and advising them and being able to speak with them really well. And those are some things that we're doing next. So some of our team is going to be taking some additional training, bringing them to conferences and letting them see things that are going on in our industry and so on. And then just continuing to say what's next for our clients and how can we meet those needs. That's really the next level for us, reporting wise, advising, coaching, those types of things as well, is really what we're looking to do next, even more than we are now across our team.
Very cool. And what about AI? Hearing a lot about AI. Have you started to take a look at that or how it might be impacting or leveraged by your firm?
Absolutely. So our firm is using an app called Carbon, which is a practice management tool. I teach that with other accounting practices as well. So I'm a little biased. I think it's phenomenal. They have released, I don't know if it's in general public yet or if we're in the beta. I know we're in a beta, but I don't know if it's already released generally. But they have done something that to me is game changing for our firm. You can actually have it reword your emails to make them sound professional or casual or whatever. And that sounds so simple for people, but I'm not a wordsmither. I need somebody to help me with some of that. And so that has been super helpful. So they have that capability and they're doing a bit more integrating that into the product, a lot more AI type stuff in there. So that's been really great for us already. We're already seeing it with certain areas. But one of the things that I learned at the Scaling New Heights conference actually was they had a speaker there from Digits. And one of the things he mentioned was being careful with AI and the data that we put in it, in something like a chat GPT, because it is not, it's not secure, it's not private. So we need to be really mindful of that. But I think that what I'm seeing more than anything is using it and leveraging it and not being afraid of it. But it also means that, yes, more of our day-to-day task is going to be, easier and quicker. And so we just continue to focus on the value and the results that we're providing for our clients. So I think we're still in the very early stages of it, although, late stages of it could be in 6 months at the speed that things go these days. But I think as a leader in a firm, it's assuring our team that their job's not going away and continuing to remind them of what their real value is. And that's the relationships that we have with our clients and the ability to explain to them what's going on and coming alongside those business owners and really helping them with their business. That I don't know how AI can do that. That's the value that we're bringing to the table. And so I just want to continue to focus on that with my team.
I love it. I think that's refreshing, and I think it's good, to talk about AI. AI is going to do a whole bunch of stuff for us, but building stronger relationships with your clients and really understanding your clients, AI may help a little bit with that, but that takes the human being to do that, and so that's positioned, in my opinion, really well. And you utilize the technology, but don't separate from the humans that are inside using the technology, because that would be, I think, a risk.
Absolutely. Yep.
Carla, this has been absolutely fantastic. And I want to thank you for being on the podcast, coming here, sharing your knowledge and expertise. It's been absolutely delightful to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great to be with you.
It's great to have you. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guests and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.